we're going to look at some factoring practice and figuring out zeros and axis of symmetry and all those fun things. So the first thing I'm going to do is look right here at number 1. And I'm going to factor this. I like to build a box. I like to put x squared here and 7 here. I know this is x and x. I need it to multiply to 7 but add to 8, so it's going to have to be 7 and 1. So that means it's just x plus 7 times x plus 1 equals y. Now my zeros, remember, are opposite those factored forms, so I should have -1 and -7. Yes?
Is x plus 7 x plus 1?
Yep.
Okay.
To find the axis of symmetry, we can do two things. We have it in standard form.
How does this factor form?
It is. We have it in standard form originally, and we made it into factored form. So you can do it two ways. I think this is more difficult if we go -b over 2a. That will get your axis of symmetry. But I can also just add the two things together and divide by 2. -7 plus -1 is -8. -8 divided by 2 is -4. That also is the x value of my vertex, or my minimum or my maximum. And then I can simply plug this back in to find it. Now you can plug this into the factored form or the standard form. So I did the standard form for the warm-up, so I'm going to do the factored form for this. So I just go -4 plus 7 times -4 plus 1. -4 plus 7 is 3. -4 plus 1 is -3. 3 times -3 is -9. Who's ever music I hear, can you take it out of your ears? Turn it off right now while I'm going over notes, please. Yes. What can I do for you?
After we got -4,
Yeah.
the x symmetry, then
I plugged it into the factored form equation where x is.
you go back to when it was right because
You do not, I said that, you do not have to go back to standard form, but you can. And I said I did that for the warm-up, so I'm doing it the other way for this one, where I'm plugging it into factored form.
but it goes back to the positive 7 and positive 1.
Yeah. Yep, because I'm putting it in the equation. Now we're going to plot this. We're going to put a point on -1. We're going to do it on -7. And we're going to put our vertex at -4, -9. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just going to draw a line 8, 9. I'm going to put it here. Now we also know where the y-intercept is because it's right here at 7, so we could put that point down as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it would go like this. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got -2, right? For
Right here, I multiplied those together and got -9.
and then
That's my y value right there.
okay. I don't know if I need the y-intercept.
So I just did. The y-intercept is always the number that's all right here. Okay. Let's try another one. So I feel like the hardest part of this is probably the factoring because it probably takes the longest. So I do want you to notice both of these were positive. 8x and 7 were both positive. So I ended up with 2 positive answers. The next one down here, this is -11x and +10. So what do you think we're going to end up with? Both my things are going to be what? What would I have to multiply to get a positive, but when I add two things together, I get a negative? Well, we can figure it out. What two things multiply to give us 10 that add to give us -11? So what possible things multiply to give us 10? 10 times 1. That's got to be 10 and 1, right? But I have -11, so both of them have to be negative. So we have negative 1x, negative 10x. That adds to a negative 11, but a negative times a negative is a positive. So y equals x minus 10 and x minus 1. Okay, so this is what I want you to notice. When we have a plus and a plus, both of them are plus. When I have a minus by the whatever the x is, the bx, and I have a plus next to the c, or the one that doesn't have an x by it, I end up both of these are negative. That's what I want you to see. Okay, what are the zeros, or the y-intercepts, or the x-intercepts, or the roots? It's not negative 10, but it's positive 10. It's not negative 1, but it's positive 1. Okay. Axis of symmetry, we add them together. 10 plus 1 divided by 2 gives me 5.5. Okay. That's my x for my minimum here. And then I plug it back in, either one. Okay? So I can go 5.5 minus 10 times 5.5 plus, minus 1. Okay? So if I do that, I should get, my answer here is wrong because I put a plus for some reason. 5.5 minus 1. I get negative 20.25. Okay? Now, there are a lot of steps. Now, when I graph this, it's not going to fit on my graph, so I'm going to instead make these go by 2s. This is like 2, 4, okay? And this is like 2, 4. I know. But it doesn't fit, so I have to do it that way. So I'm going to plot my points at 1, which is going to go right here. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's my other. My minimum is going to be off my chart somewhere. So I'm going to do it at 5.5 and negative 20. So this is going to be 4. This is 5. 5.5 is right there, and it's way down here. Negative 20, because it doesn't fit on the graph. And I can also make this go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 right here through my y-intercepts. All right. Yeah, we can leave if we cannot stop. It's fine with me. We're going to go look at number 3. Okay? Number 3 has a positive and then a negative. So we knew for number 1, we had 2 positives, so our answers were both plus. Number 2, we had a negative and then a positive, so our answers were both negative. Now for number 3, we have a positive and then a negative, so we've got to figure out what that does for us. We have x squared, so we know that's x and x. What multiplies to give us negative 90 but adds to give us 1? 10 and 9. And which one's going to be positive and which one's going to be negative? Negative 9 and positive 10, right? Because that would add up to a positive 1. So we've got x plus 10, x minus 9. And remember, we're going to do the opposite of these, correct? So we're going to go negative 10 and positive 9. Please don't talk. Okay. And then to get my axis of symmetry, I add them together, divide by 2. So I get negative 1/2. I'm going to plug this in, negative 1/2. That's my x value, so I'm going to plug it in. So negative 1/2 plus 10 times negative 1/2 minus 9 gives me, I get negative 90.25. Okay. It's not going to show up on my graph. Okay, so I'm going to have negative 10, so these are going to be counted by 2s. So I'm going to go negative 10, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I'm going to have positive 9, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9's right in the middle. It's negative 1/2 and way, way, way down here somewhere. And it's going to cross at negative 90, so it's again way down here. Okay, so why don't you guys try the last three on your own and then come check your answers with me before you pick up your homework, okay? And I'll just make a little check mark that you guys have done that. So we've got number 4 is x squared plus 4x minus 12, so I know one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative for my factoring. On the back, the first one's negative, the second one's positive, so I know I'm going to have two negatives. And then number 6, they're both positive, so I know they are both going to be positive. Your homework for tonight, you do not have to graph. You'll have to do everything else, but there's no graphing involved for it, okay? So I think that makes it a little bit easier. So I've done 3, you're going to do 3 more, and then come check in with me, and then you can work on your homework for tonight.